How you doing, Cam? How you been?
I'm not bad, you know? I've been enjoying life, and it's sort of weird to get back to real life, I guess. Back to football.
You don't have a Twitter check mark anymore, so I have to like double check every time I see you tweet.
Who is
But
it?
well, I mean, I've seen you all over the place. So what has been the highlight of your kind of jet setting off season? Because it seems like you've been everywhere.
Right. The family and we lived in Madrid for a month, and then we went off to Bilbao for a couple days, came back over to Barcelona. We've been here for the month of April, and then had like a quick 5-day spurt between going back to Bilbao for a soccer game. I went to Bilbao, we went to Guggenheim. I had to go back for a soccer game. Went to San Sebastian, went to Victoria, did some rural games out in Basque Country, did a soccer challenge out with Mikel Moreno over there in the Basque area, or no, in Sevilla, and then went down to Sevilla and went back to Barcelona. It's been a time. We had a time this last couple months.
What kind of spurred that? Like, why this year? Because I mean, unless you do that every year, and I just don't know about it.
No, come on. I've been gone since like a week and a half after.
Right.
I was like, this is great. Also, I'm gone. And I literally was on the sidelines of that craptastic Cleveland Browns -19 football game. And I was like, the lies that I've been told all my life. That was my first snow game. That was my first game probably under 30, like maybe under 20. I think there was a playoff Seattle game that probably got that cold, or maybe playoff Philadelphia game. But other than that, I've been snow-free all my life. I grew up in Arizona. I played over at Berkeley, and I got drafted with the Saints. I've had phenomenal luck my entire career until year 12, and I was in the middle of this dumb football game where people were like, people from the Midwest like embrace it. I was born in Minnesota. And like friends from Minnesota was like, oh, you haven't played a real football game, so you play in the cold. They're liars. They're full-blown egotistical maniacs that are just living this machismo life of embracing the cold. And I get that's what they have to do for mental keepsakes. But that's not real football. It hurt to hit people. It hurt to shed people. It hurt to, lace them up. It hurt to try and get warm. It hurt to get ready to get cold. There was nothing fun about that game other than I knew other people were just as miserable. I looked over at my trainers. One of my trainers had like snot frozen, like coming out of his nose. After that first half, I ran into the locker room, and I remember everybody was drinking soup, and some guys were like, this is football. And I was like, they're absurd. This is not football. This is not your best. I want my best 11 versus your best 11. That's not real football to me. So either way, we win that game, whatever, but I'm on the sidelines, and I was like, this is not it. You know what? I'm leaving. I'm talking to Ryan Nielsen, who's now the DC over at I forget the team's name sometimes, the Falcons. And then so I'm sitting there and I'm like, what am I gonna do? But I was sitting there talking to him, and I was like, yo, I'm going back in the game. He's like, no, we got rotation. I was like, I am cold. I'm going back in. And then somewhere in there, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to another country after season. You have to worry about me. And he was like, what? And it snowballed from there, literally out the snow. I went home and I was like, hey, man, how do you feel about homeschooling in this second semester? She was like, well, I did it in COVID. I said, great. She's like, what? I was like, I'm trying to go somewhere. I'm trying to learn some Spanish. I was like, you know what? My Spanish is just not up to par. I'm inspired to do better things. And she's like, so what are you thinking? I was like, Spain. And she was like, all right, cool. And then it just went from there. So I had a plan. And by the time Super Bowl happened and, we didn't make playoffs. So then I was like just planning. And so 2 weeks after Super Bowl, a week and a half after Super Bowl, I was in Madrid.
That's a much better answer than I was expecting, which is like normal. It's like, oh, let's go on vacation. Like, no, you had a -10-degree prompt.
-19.
Yes.
-19.
Yeah. I can tell you one thing that would have been worse than playing in that game would have been losing that game. So at least you have that.
I was thinking about the crazy fanatics that I have so much respect for with no shirt on in the upper bowl. Somewhere in the middle of that game, they're like, hey, everybody in the upper bowl come down to the lower bowl. I've never even
Yep.
They're like, yeah, for body warmth purposes, so you don't
so you can huddle
die.
together.
Come huddle together so you can watch this football game. And I was looking at the fans. I was like, much respect, because there's no amount of money that could ever make me play for this team. Like, you could be like, Cam, I have $58 million a year for you, unprecedented amount. You've never been paid this much for 1 year football. And I'd be like, thank you very much. If there's 50 on the table here, there's got to be 40 on the table somewhere in a warmer climate. Thank you, but I'll be leaving.
Yeah, I appreciate you and Alvin kind of have similar philosophies about the cold. And then Carl comes out and he wasn't even wearing a shirt in the pregame. And he was like, cold's in your mind. And Alvin's like, no, cold exists. And it was here today.
My hands are over here like this. I can't feel my hands. No, the cold exists.
All right. So before I forget, I do want to ask you. So this NFL Rivals, obviously the debut today.
Did you download it? It came out today.
NFL I have Rivals. Not downloaded it yet. Okay. But why don't you just tell me what all of it's about? What is your connection with it? Why should people be excited about it?
I mean, I'm excited because it brings back that nostalgic feeling of like, I keep saying blitz. Like, it's that arcade style of play. It's not 11 on 11. It's like a smaller condensed version because it's on your phone. Download it. I mean, I happened to download it this morning right when I was like hopped on this last couple hours, and I'm having a blast. I'm not going to say I'm addicted because right now I got this 9-on-9 all offense. I'm working on getting better. My players in the right positions, right roles, but it gives you that arcade style, like, going in, throwing a 25, a quarter in and playing some NFL blitz. It gives you that type of feel. It's like NFL blitz, like NFL Street combined. And you've got on your phone. And I don't know what's great about trying to be your own general manager. Like I feel like I've been doing some mock drafts lately for like the first time in my career. I'm like, I need D tackles, right? And in this game, I'm like, I got to have AK here. I got to have, if I can push, my team there. If I can put these pieces together, my team is going to be unstoppable. And clearly I'm biased because I'm going to be using my own teammates. But you can compete against other GMs. You can just play as free as you want. And the fact that it's free, I mean, you're going to get hooked a little bit. You're going to have some fun. It's like all offense, no defense, which I'm like, they have some sort of prejudice against defense players, but it is what it is. Maybe it's coming soon. I just feel like me at a running back position could be a monstrosity. But the fact that you're going to have so much fun with this, it's experiencing football in like a fun and new way. Right now, I'm trying to get better cards. I need a few better players so I can get my team together, and then I can start challenging people out in this world. In my mind, in like the next day or two, I will be a guru of this game, and I'll be like, so anybody come get some.
Gotcha. And you kind of referenced this. You've been doing mock drafts trying to get defensive tackles. One of the reasons, there's this need for defensive tackles is David Onyemata went to Atlanta, Shai Tuttle went to Carolina, and obviously Ryan's in Atlanta as well. What was your reaction when you saw that happen? Have you talked to David? Have you talked to Shai at all?
Of course, I've talked to my traitorous friends. Like it's cool. We drafted him, or in Shai's case, wasn't drafted, which should endear him even more to us. Like we took him when nobody else was looking at him. But no, I'm overly happy for them. The fact that David I've been playing with for 8 years. It's been a long time, and it's hard to replace somebody like him. Hence my mock drafts and drafting like 4 or 5 D tackles each time because it's so hard to replace a guy like him. You lose, Shai Tuttle. You've got a guy like Kentavious Street that goes out there. D tackles sort of, bring that defensive line together. We have return of Malcolm Roach. Hopefully the resurgence of Albert Huggins. But Tano and my young gun, young Peyton Turner, will have to slide down to that 3 technique on third down situation. Maybe I will. I don't know, but just know that I'm feeling that that's somewhere we can strengthen our team. Which brings me back to maybe mythical game sometime soon brings in that defensive line play to the game.
Gotcha. And you mentioned Peyton. I think a lot of people are kind of eagerly anticipating seeing him more, right?
Right.
I've seen him in there. I know he's working. What do you expect from him this year? Because obviously with Marcus heading out to Minnesota, he's got to be able to contribute in some way. So what are your kind of expectations for him?
Man, I think, Marcus leaving to Minnesota, I think that could be a great play for Carl Granderson to step up as well as Peyton Turner. The best ability is availability. As we all have seen over the years. And with Peyton Turner this last 2 years, we see glimpses. And then, he's sort of been bitten by a little, nagging injury here or there. And, I'm just looking forward to more glimpses. You can see a glimpse. You can see the picture. If you can see the picture, you can understand what the painting's about. I'm trying to figure out exactly what the painting's about in game time because I know the work that he's put in is not matching up to what his own expectations. Because he's grinding, he's trying to get right. And at the same time, he's also played 12 or 13 games over 2 years. You got to play a little bit more than that.
Gotcha, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy the rest of your vacation, and I'll see you in a couple months here.
Absolutely. I should be back in a couple months. A month.
Yeah, if you ever do decide to come back to the States.
Yeah, stateside. Yeah, I'm back in action.